Welcome to Campfire Horror Tales. Pull up a chair, get close to the fire, and listen carefully. Tonight, I've gathered a few true Halloween horror stories. Real tales that happened when the moon was full, the pumpkins were glowing, and something strange moved through the streets. These stories come from different corners of America, from lonely highways, forgotten towns, and quiet houses where the lights never seem to stay off. So sit back, relax, and let the firelight guide you through the dark. Because tonight, we're diving into the real horrors of Halloween night. I grew up loving Halloween. The smell of damp leaves, the chill in the air, the glow of pumpkin lanterns lining suburban porches. It was magic. My town in Maine was small, and every October we all went to the same pumpkin patch. It was tradition, the start of the season. But this year, something changed. The old farmer who ran the place, Mr. Dorsey, passed away in the spring. His land sat empty all summer, until one morning, signs appeared. New owners. Grand reopening October 1st. The best pumpkins in Maine. Everyone was excited. The old patch was back. But when I showed up that first weekend, I noticed how different it felt. The fields were too quiet. No birds, no bugs. Just the faint rustle of dry stalks moving in the wind. And the smell. Not earthy, not sweet, but something sour underneath, like spoiled fruit. The new owners were a couple, tall, pale people in matching flannel shirts who never smiled. The woman handed out cider samples and said they'd brought the land back to life. Her eyes lingered on me for a second too long when she said that. The pumpkins themselves were huge, perfectly round, deep orange, with dark veins curling down their sides like cracks in skin. When I tapped one, it didn't sound hollow. It was dense, heavy, and faintly warm to the touch. I remember joking to my friend Matt. Guess they're using some new fertilizer. He laughed, but the owners didn't. The man looked at me, expressionless, and said, "The land gives what it's owed." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. A week later, I got a text from the volunteer coordinator asking if I could help with the Halloween night event. A moonlight harvest, they called it. I said yes. I needed the extra money. When I arrived, the sky was overcast, the air thick with mist. The patch glowed with lanterns, hundreds of them. The owners were walking between the rows, whispering. The woman smiled when she saw me. "We're glad you came back," she said. "The patch remembers kind souls." I brushed it off as small talk. My job was simple: guide guests through the fields, help kids pick pumpkins, make sure nobody tripped in the mud. But as the night went on, I started noticing things. The ground pulsed softly under my boots, like there was movement beneath the soil. Some of the pumpkins had small openings near the stems, tiny holes, breathing out steam. When I leaned close, I heard faint murmuring, like like whispers. I tried to tell myself it was wind, but when one of the kids screamed, I ran over and saw his pumpkin had split open, and inside wasn't pulp or seeds. It was hair, human hair, tangled and wet. The owners rushed over. The man scooped up the pumpkin remains, muttering, "Not ready yet." They sent everyone home early. That should have been the end of it. But the next day, I went back. I don't even know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe guilt. The gate was unlocked. The place was empty. The mist hung thick as milk. Rows of pumpkins stretched endlessly. Some were still growing, pulsing like hearts. Others had burst open, revealing pale shapes underneath, something that looked disturbingly like limbs, curling in the dirt. My phone battery was dying, but I managed to record a few seconds of video before it froze. The last thing it captured was the ground opening near my feet. A human hand reached out. I stumbled back and fell. The owners were there again, standing between the rows, their faces calm. "The harvest must continue," the woman said softly. "The land remembers who feeds it." I ran. I don't remember getting to my car. I don't remember driving home. I just remember the headlights catching something in the rearview mirror. Pumpkins lining the road, one after another, all the way back to town. That night, I tried to show the video, but my phone wouldn't turn on. Every file was corrupted. The next morning, when I checked local news, the farm wasn't listed anymore. The listing was gone. The property records were blank, as if it had never existed. But a few days later, I saw something that froze me. At the grocery store, near the entrance, there was a display of bright orange pumpkins labeled, "Locally grown, fresh from Dorsey Patch." I asked the clerk where they came from. She smiled and said, "Oh, a new supplier dropped them off this morning. Said you'd remember the name." I didn't answer. I went home and stayed up until dawn. Outside my window, I swear I could smell that same sour scent again, like something rotting just below the surface. And in the pale light of morning, I saw them. Tiny orange sprouts curling through the cracks of my yard. The land remembers. If you've lived in this town long enough, you've heard about Maple Drive. Every Halloween, someone knocks on the wrong door and never comes back. Kids whisper it at school, teenagers dare each other to walk past, and parents always tell the same warning: stay away from number 19. Nobody really remembers how it started. Some say it goes back to the 1950s, when a family vanished without a trace. Others claim that house never had a family at all, that it's always been empty, and whoever enters doesn't leave. This year, a new family moved to town. Well, new might be the wrong word. They were renting a small place across town, and most of the neighbors didn't notice them until October. But one of their sons, Danny, thought it would be fun to prove the legend wrong. Danny was 14, fearless, and liked to record everything on his phone for his friends. On Halloween night, he and two of his friends decided to walk Maple Drive, masks on, bags ready for candy. The street was quiet. Leaves skittered across the pavement, blown by a wind that didn't feel natural. Number 19 loomed ahead. The house was old, with peeling paint, a crooked porch, and windows dark as a cave. Danny stopped in front of the gate and whispered, "This is it. We'll knock, grab some candy, and prove it's just a story." His friends hesitated, but Danny pushed forward. His fist hit the door. The sound echoed, hollow, like it swallowed itself. No answer. Danny tried the handle. Locked. Then he noticed it, the faintest movement behind the blinds. A shadowy figure standing perfectly still, just watching. "Come on, let's go," one of his friends muttered. But Danny was curious. He leaned closer. That's when he heard it. A faint voice whispering his name. Not calling, not friendly. Just saying, "Danny." He froze. The door creaked open. Slowly. Inside, the house was dark, but not empty. Old furniture sat in strange positions, as if rearranged by someone else. The air smelled like wet wood and decayed leaves. Danny stepped in, phone out, recording. The walls were lined with pictures. Family photos, or what looked like them. But the faces were distorted. Eyes too large, mouths stretched into permanent, crooked smiles. Some of the figures seemed to move when he looked away, or shifted closer when he blinked. "Danny, come play." The voice was louder now, echoing. It came from upstairs. Against his better judgment, he climbed. The hallway stretched forever. Every door was slightly open. Inside the last room, he saw a group of children sitting in a circle. Their eyes were black, their faces pale, their movements jerky, unnatural. One of them turned toward him. "You're late." Before Danny could respond, the door slammed shut behind him. The others laughed, a hollow, echoing sound that bounced off the walls. The children rose slowly, tilting their heads unnaturally. They surrounded him. Danny screamed. Outside, his friends pounded on the front door. Number 19 remained silent. No one answered. Not a sound. The shadow behind the blinds never moved. By the time the police arrived, the house was empty again. No children inside, no sign of Danny or his friends. Just a locked door, peeling paint, and the faint sound of laughter carried in the wind. The next morning, someone left a note on the mailbox. It read, "Maple Drive always remembers who knocks. Residents of the street say the house shifts on its own. Windows that were closed yesterday are open today. Lights flicker at night, though no electricity runs through it. Some swear that if you listen closely, you can hear footsteps echoing down the empty street long after Halloween ends." Every year, kids disappear for just a night or two. They return days later, empty-eyed, silent, changed. And number 19 always stands there, waiting for the next visitor. Even now, years later, I still warn anyone who asks about Maple Drive. I tell them to stay on the main street, never go near the crooked house, and never, ever knock on that door. Because if you do, it remembers. And some legends, they're true. It was supposed to be just a mask, something creepy for the Halloween party. I didn't think much of it when I saw it tucked in the corner of that dusty antique shop in New Orleans. Porcelain, white, with black hollow eyes, and a grin that felt wrong. The tag said, Cirque Antique, 1927. The shop owner, a frail old man with a crooked smile, watched me pick it up. Careful with that one, he said. It tends to find its way into people's lives. I laughed it off. I liked creepy things. I liked the thrill. Besides, it was perfect for the theme. I wore it that night. The party was loud, full of music, laughter, and children running around in costumes. Nobody noticed the mask beyond its eerie charm. But as the night went on, I realized I couldn't take it off. I tugged at the straps. Nothing. It was stuck. My skin burned where it touched, and the grin, it seemed wider than before. Panic set in. I ran to the bathroom mirror. The reflection was mine, but not really. The mask's eyes were blacker than they should be, almost liquid. And the grin, it twitched when I didn't move my mouth. I tried calling someone for help, but my phone went dead. The lights flickered. Shadows stretched along the walls, forming shapes that weren't there before. By midnight, the mask began to whisper. Soft at first. I thought I was imagining it. You're mine now. The voice wasn't mine, yet it echoed inside my head. I could feel it in my chest, like it had roots inside me. Days passed. I couldn't remove it. Eating was difficult. Sleeping was impossible. The mask seemed to grow with me, fusing with my skin. Sometimes I caught glimpses of something else in the mirror. A stranger's face, grinning with perfect teeth, watching me. I tried returning it to the shop, but the street was gone. The building where it stood last week had vanished. Only the brick walls of the neighboring shops remained, like the antique store had never existed. I started researching. Nothing. No history of a Cirque Antique. No mention of a mask from 1927. It was as if it appeared out of nowhere. But in some old forums, I found stories similar to mine. People who bought the hollow mask and disappeared, only to leave behind cryptic notes or distorted videos. I reached out to one of them, a woman who had posted about a mask she found in New Orleans. Her account was years old. Her last post said, "It smiles for me when I sleep. I see it in my dreams. I am not me anymore." I felt that same truth now. 2 nights ago, I looked in the mirror and saw the mask blink. Not me. the mask. And then it laughed. I screamed, but no sound came out. My hands, though covered in the mask, moved on their own. They pressed against my cheeks, holding it tighter. I was watching myself, trapped inside. I started documenting everything, hoping someone would understand. I write this now on a forum. My last words, probably. Because if this story disappears, I want someone to know. The mask isn't just an object. It's alive. It feeds on fear, on the thrill of being someone else. It copies you, learns you, and when it's ready, it replaces you. I can feel it now, pressing further, reshaping me. My eyes burn, my teeth ache. Every breath tastes like porcelain and shadows. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can see through its hollow sockets, looking out at the world as something that is not me. I don't know how much longer I have. I can feel it tightening, whispering. I write this because someone needs to be warned. If you ever see a mask like this, white, hollow eyes, grin too wide, labeled Cirque Antique 1927, don't touch it. Don't wear it. And whatever you do, don't let it into your life. Because once it's inside, it never leaves. The following report was found in the Nevada State Archives, labeled simply KZ-94 Incident, October 31st, 1997. According to the station's logs, KZ-94 was a small radio station in rural Nevada, broadcasting country music and late-night talk shows. On Halloween night, the station went off the air. Employees reported nothing unusual. Until the following morning, when a few mysterious audio reels were discovered in the archives. The first reel begins with static. Then, faintly, a child's voice emerges, repeating numbers and coordinates. The speech is fragmented, almost mechanical. Listeners who tried to tune in that night claimed to hear the same coordinates whispered under heavy static. Some said the voices were not just children's voices, but something else, distorted, unnatural. The station manager, Robert L., gave a statement to the local police. I don't know what happened. At midnight, the equipment powered on by itself. I was alone. I heard kids' laughter over the speakers, but there was no one here. Employees reported strange activity leading up to Halloween. Lights flickered, equipment turned on without cause, and tapes kept appearing in locked cabinets. One night, a janitor reportedly heard someone calling his name from the empty studio. The most disturbing entry comes from a night shift engineer's log. 10:47 p.m., tuning dial jumped by itself. I hear voices, counting. 10:52 p.m., they are reciting coordinates. My hands shake. 11:01 p.m., I swear I see a child standing behind the glass, though the lobby is empty. 11:30 p.m., the child speaks my name. I can't write anymore. The reel is spinning on its own. On the morning of November 1st, the station's transmitter room was found empty. The engineer was gone. The janitor reported the same. and the manager described a low hum in the walls that continued for days. Further investigation found that the coordinates broadcast on the reels corresponded to remote desert locations. When authorities investigated one of the sites, they found a vehicle, a rusty old sedan, abandoned, with the driver's seat strangely wet. No footprints, no signs of struggle. The radio inside was still tuned to KZ-94. Listeners who claimed to record the broadcast described hearing other voices besides children. Whispers too low to understand, calling names, sometimes pleading, sometimes threatening. These voices seemed to respond to whoever held the tape. One man, a radio enthusiast, stated, "I played it at home. The voices knew my name. They knew things about me no one should know. Then, I saw shadows move where there were none. No official cause was ever determined. The station's call letters were retired shortly after the incident, and KZ-94's building was demolished in 2003. Locals still claim that on Halloween night, if you drive near the old coordinates, you can hear faint static on old radios. And sometimes, a whisper, 'We remember you.'" The reels, now digitized and stored in the Nevada State Archives, continue to baffle researchers. Attempts to play them digitally often result in distorted voices or files corrupting completely. Some experts in paranormal communications claim that the voices are not human, and that the broadcast may have been a window, a portal of some sort. One document from the FBI's supplemental file reads, "We recommend no further attempts to access the KZ-94 tapes. Personnel have reported severe psychological effects, including hallucinations and auditory disturbances. Recovered tapes show no record of tampering, but appear to continue broadcasting within the recorded medium." Eyewitness reports from locals include children vanishing in the desert at the exact coordinates, sometimes returning days later with blank expressions, unable to speak, often muttering numbers in a monotone voice. On Halloween night, 1997, the station went off the air. Nothing was found inside the building except for the reels, which were untouched but spinning endlessly. Robert L., the manager, later disappeared under similar circumstances, leaving behind only his keys, a cup of coffee, and the memory of children's voices calling his name. Some who have studied the incident warn that the KZ-94 broadcasts are not merely recordings. They are described as semi-sentient, able to recognize listeners, react to them, and, according to several accounts, draw them in when the tape is played. The archive concludes, "It is advised that no individual attempt to play the original reels or any copy. The risks associated with exposure to the KZ-94 incident are unknown. Halloween 1997 marked the beginning of an unsolved phenomenon that persists today. Whether the broadcasts are paranormal, experimental, or simply unexplained phenomena remains unknown. But every Halloween, amateur radio operators and thrill seekers report hearing static, faint whispers, and sometimes coordinates, recited in monotone voices, calling them to empty desert roads far from civilization. And those who investigate too closely often do not return. They told me Basement 13 didn't exist. I started my night shift at the research facility in Virginia like any other. My job was simple: monitor the empty labs, check the security feeds, and make sure no one wandered into restricted areas. Most nights were boring. Dim lights, humming machines, and the occasional echo of distant footsteps. But Halloween changed everything. I was checking the access logs when a message appeared on my terminal. A new task: guard Basement 13. No one explained what it was. Officially, the level didn't exist. "It's experimental," my supervisor said over the intercom, her voice unusually tense. "Just follow the orders. Don't go in unprepared." I grabbed my flashlight and ID badge. The elevator descended past the normal floors. The numbers stopped at B12. Then the doors slid open. Darkness. The hallway was narrow, longer than it should have been. The walls glistened, wet, with patches of mold. The air was thick and cold. I could hear it, faint breathing, echoing from the shadows. I tried calling the main office. No response. The radio crackled, then went dead. As I walked down the corridor, the doors on either side were slightly ajar. I glanced inside. Nothing. Empty labs. Yet I felt eyes watching, just out of view. I reached the end of the hall. A door marked 13 stood before me. My badge didn't work. I tried the handle. Locked. Then I heard it. A whisper. "Open the door." I froze. It was my name. Not through the intercom. Not a recording. Someone, or something, was calling me from inside. I should have turned around. But curiosity and fear pushed me forward. The handle turned on its own. The door creaked open. Inside, the room seemed to stretch forever. Ceiling, walls, floor, all vanished into darkness. My flashlight beam bounced off the shadows, but I couldn't reach the end. Something moved just beyond the light. Quick, jerky motions, breathing, watching. I stepped in. The air was damp, and every breath felt heavier. Then I heard them. Dozens of voices, faint, overlapping, whispering my fears. "You shouldn't be here. Come closer." My heart pounded. I wanted to leave, but my feet felt glued. The floor beneath me throbbed, pulsing, almost like a heartbeat. Suddenly, something brushed against my leg. Not an animal. Something long, slimy, and cold. I shined the light down. Nothing. Yet I felt its weight on me. I reached for the door. It slammed shut. Darkness swallowed me. I tried shouting, My voice echoed back, distorted. Every shadow around me seemed to stretch closer, and I realized I could hear my own heartbeat in the room, amplified, as if it belonged to someone else. Then I saw them. Figures, twisted and thin, rising from the floor. No faces, only hollow sockets where eyes should be. They moved silently, fluidly, circling me. Every step I took, they matched. Every breath, they mirrored. Panic consumed me. I ran, or tried to. The hallway stretched endlessly. I could hear my own screams, but they weren't mine. Something had taken my voice. I found an emergency panel and tried to call the office. Nothing. The lights flickered. Then, a single word appeared on the screen, glowing red. Stay. I backed away. My hands hit a wall, no wall, just emptiness. Then I felt the cold grip of something holding my shoulders, lifting me. A chorus of whispers filled the room. Welcome. Welcome to Basement 13. I don't know how long I was trapped. Hours? Days? Time stretched like taffy. My mind began to fracture, seeing glimpses of other people, victims, perhaps, pressed against invisible walls, screaming silently. Eventually, I woke up in the main corridor. Elevator doors open, lights normal. No one was there. My badge worked. The clock said only a few minutes had passed. I don't know if it was a dream. I hope it was. I haven't told anyone what happened. My supervisor asked how the shift went. I lied. I said everything was fine. But I can feel it still. Basement 13 isn't just a level. It's a living place. It remembers. It watches. And it waits for the next person to guard it. I've stopped sleeping in my apartment. Every noise makes me jump. Every shadow feels like it belongs to someone else. I know it's still out there, watching, waiting, and I know I'll be back. They always bring you back. Every Halloween, kids in town would stop by Miss Lydia's house for her famous homemade candy. Nobody asked what was in it. They just knew it was the best. Chocolate, caramel, peanut brittle, every treat seemed sweeter, richer than anything else in the neighborhood. Miss Lydia was a small woman, older than anyone remembered, with silver hair pinned neatly and sharp blue eyes. She would sit on her porch, knitting while the children ran up to grab handfuls from her enormous candy bowl. She never charged a cent, never smiled fully. But the kids didn't care. The first sign something was off came the year she passed away. It was just before Halloween. The town mourned her quietly, but when the night came, a candy bowl appeared on her porch, full, untouched, wrapped in clear cellophane. No one put it there. The door was locked. Curious children took pieces. Parents laughed nervously. The candy was perfect. But something changed. Those who ate it began having the same dreams. Dark, vivid dreams of Miss Lydia's house, empty halls stretching endlessly, rooms lined with jars filled with sugar and hair. Candles flickered in impossible patterns. Shadows twisted across walls. And always, Miss Lydia sat at her kitchen table, smiling, stirring a pot that never boiled. The next morning, the children awoke pale, trembling, some unable to speak for hours. Some tried to tell their parents about the dreams, but the words came out garbled, like whispers of another voice. Weeks passed. The candy bowl returned each Halloween, appearing on the porch as if Miss Lydia herself had left it. Rumors started. She had been a witch, a practitioner of something old and secret. The candy was a conduit, a way to keep her alive. One year, a group of teenagers decided to test it. They took candy from the bowl, ate it together in the street, and dared each other to enter the empty house. The porch creaked. The door, long sealed, opened slowly. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of sugar and something far more sour. Iron, rotting leaves, something alive. Their flashlights revealed jars and bowls, all filled with candy. But embedded in each piece were objects. Teeth, nails, tiny scraps of hair, and small bones. They turned to leave. The door slammed. Shadows surged around them. A low, humming voice echoed from the walls. Come closer. Taste. One of the teens screamed. The others tried to pull her back, but the air itself seemed to resist them. When they finally ran, half of them said they could still hear her crying, echoing from the candy bowl in the street, faint and unending. Parents began noticing changes in their children over the years. Kids who took the candy too often became pale, quiet, eyes fixed on nothing. Some spoke to Grandma as if she were still there. Some vanished, only to reappear days later, staring at the candy bowl in their own homes, muttering, "She's hungry." The town tried to remove the bowl. Authorities came to the house. But no matter what they did, barricades, burning it, even taking the candy away, the bowl returned, always full, always inviting, always waiting for the next Halloween. Years later, a new family moved in. They had no idea. The first Halloween, a small boy ran up to the porch. The candy bowl was there, full, wrapped, smelling sweet and warm like it had been freshly made. He took a piece. That night, his parents woke to soft tapping on the window. He was standing outside, eyes black, holding the candy bowl. In a voice that was not his own, he whispered, "Do you want more?" The parents never saw their son again. Some say he walks with Miss Lydia now, going door to door, offering candy to new children. Others claim the bowl is alive, a vessel for her spirit, feeding on fear, curiosity, and innocence. Locals have learned not to take candy from unknown houses. But sometimes, on quiet streets, if the night is still and the air smells of caramel and fallen leaves, the faint sound of knitting needles can be heard. And the candy bowl waits. It waits for the next hand, the next curious child, the next Halloween. Because Miss Lydia remembers, and she is always hungry.